all right. We're in here. All right, let's go. How's everybody doing? This is the Let's Get Active podcast. I'm here with my boy Stephen Parker. When they say where do we begin, firstly I want to thank Jay, Germ, and Hunter for kind of helping set this process up. Kind of been in communication with them for a couple of weeks on this, and they've kind of run us through kind of the ideas and everything. Eventually, we'll get to the point where we're kind of on our own, but right here at the beginning, this is where they're helping out. So yeah, I want to introduce Stephen. Stephen, go ahead. Let the people in about Stephen Parker and everything. What's been going on?
Yeah. I appreciate you all just for having me up on the show. Ultimately, hey, been blessed, highly favored. Of course, I've been done playing with the league now, but still keep up with some of these guys that are still playing. Some of them being guys I've played with, and others just, coming up through the ranks and trying to make a name for themselves. So very blessed to be, like I said, on the show.
Yeah, appreciate that. So, really, where we can start is obviously so the format, kind of what me and Strike discussed. I'll go over this. Like I said, this is the audible. Steven kind of stepped in for it, but yes, it's going to be covering OU football, but we're also going to be covering current events, different things like that that's going on. But just for today, we're kind of going to stick with the basic, kind of a pilot, kind of get an introduction here going on with kind of OU football. But I will let you know, Steven. So here on the Sooner Surge, that's what Jay Germ, they call their podcast. It's very interactive with the fans and stuff like that. You can respond to their comments. They'll call and ask questions if we're doing that here, different things like that. But shoot, man, let's get right into it. Let's talk some OU football, bros. We got our Sooners got their first game this weekend, and I don't know if you kept up with last year and everything like that. So, man, how you think this season's gonna go?
Man, honestly, just hearing some of the news that I've been able to hear going out to a practice. Actually, that's where me and you had seen each other after a while. Yep. They look really, really good. They look hungry. And, I don't expect anything less from a Brent Venables team. Everybody is having to play their part. Everyone is having to, make sure that their mind and their mentality is in the right place, because here at the University of Oklahoma, man, everything's about legacy. It's about tradition, and it's about hard work. And no matter who is in front of us, we are always going to be more talented, stronger, faster, and always making sure that we're paying attention to the small details. So I'm excited about this upcoming weekend, just to really showcase what we are about.
Yeah, I've been the same way. So, like I said, I've been on this podcast, I think, for about a year now, and then just hearing people's perspective. The fan base they're it's I don't know. Yeah, it's been 50-50. You got those that are excited, those that are nervous, different things like that. And like you see the comment right there, Steven, someone asking you, what do you think about the safety room? But we will get into the kind of the positions and stuff like that too. I'm the same as you. I'm a bit more optimistic, but just us being former players, that's how we are. We don't think about last season. We think about the season at hand, and every season's optimistic. We go in, we grind, that's just the mentality that we have. But yeah, still, as you answer that question, what do you think about the safety room? Have you been keeping up with that?
Yeah, so I actually have a guy who I used to fellowship with, Robert-Jennings Spears. He talks really highly, just saying that the room is very talented. Everybody's hungry and ready to eat. And it sounds like the defense, I mean, just looking at it from the past couple of years, just from whenever I was there, or we were both there, versus where it's at now, it seems like it's gotten exceptionally better just within the rooms, but also just within the play. Everybody's playing fast, playing on their toes, and it seems like everyone's ready to hit. And also, just to kind of backtrack on what you were talking about, you had said something about that we're optimistic as far as on every single season, because we've played there, we've won a lot of games. But I go back to that 2014 season where we were
all the time.
Yeah, I think we're 8-5, something like that.
And that was a bad season at that time for us. So
exactly. Yeah. And for another program, that would be considered a winning season. But for us, that was a losing season at the University of Oklahoma. So that's not the standard. So, us having that type of season and then going to the playoffs the following year or the next year, that shows how fast it can turn around. And it all starts in the belief in the system. It starts in the belief as far as players policing players. not the
Right.
coaches having to do the work for the players. So the
Exactly.
coaches are going to put us in all the right alignments and all the right spots, but it's going to be up to the players in order to, figure out exactly how far do they want to go, how far do they want to push, and is this a
Yeah. Yeah.
championship team or is this just going to be a middle of the road team? So we'll find a lot of things out, I believe, in this first week, and then of course getting to that first test of Michigan the following week.
Yeah.
So
That's the
I'm
one.
very
That's the one. Yep.
yeah.
They comment. Neither of you had great D-line play. How great do you think we can be, and how much better would y'all's teams have been with this D-line coaching staff? I think about that all the time. I mean, we had what would Steve say, Stephen? Our best when you were there. I'd say 2015 probably was the best collective defensive unit we had. 2012 we weren't bad, but I'd say collectively 2015 was. But I do think overall, you know, you could probably obviously you could speak more to it just being in those defensive meetings. Um, I really don't know. I think with this defensive staff, we probably would have been better. I was recruited by Coach V. I don't know if I ever told you that, but I mean that's hard. We really don't know. I mean, do you think with this defensive coaching staff, the defense would have been better when we were there?
I feel like it's a 2020 hindsight type of question. I mean, because in my opinion,
Right.
I feel like we had all the tools that we needed in order to win a championship while we were there. But whenever you look at this D line, I mean, it seems like it is stacked across the board. But like I said, I kind of felt that way in 2015. I mean, we had Seawalk, we had Charles Tapper, we had Matt Romar, we had Obo, we had Strike.
Tab,
Um,
yeah,
yeah,
Diamond,
Diamond. We had Matt Diamond. So we
yeah,
had guys, you know what I'm saying? We were stacked in every position that year. So we had the shot to do it. And we had a real nice offense. This year we have a
yeah,
really good offense that's going to complement the defense. So it's all about playing balanced football. If we're playing
yep,
balanced
yep.
football and our special teams, goes in and does their job, man, I don't see why we couldn't win, every game that we step across that line. Now, of course, every game is, the most important
Yep.
one is the next one, right? But I believe that we give ourselves a chance, and that's all we can ever ask for is a chance to put ourselves in the driver's seat in order to make that one big time play because it's going to come down to one or two plays. It's a game of inches. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
I think we have a good shot.
And speaking of the team, I don't know if you saw. So they released the depth chart this week. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know if you saw the hoopla. People lost their ever loving mind because, and you can speak to this too. It just in the locker room, we never really put any weight on the depth chart when it's released, but a lot of fans felt that this is just what I believe. They had their wants on who they felt they wanted to start, and those things weren't answered. So now there's questions on: is this guy as good as they thought they were? Is that guy as good as we thought he was? And so on and so forth. So I just feel like fans need to understand that a season is ever evolving, especially from the. I've said that before. Week one is not indicative on what the lineup, what the season will be. That's just the start of what you see at camp because game speed is not the same as practice speed. Now it gives you it gives you that kind of first glance on what to expect, but once you get out there and that movement and how to react and different things like that, how to handle your assignments. That's when it really starts to come into play. Obviously, you can speak on that more than me because you burn on the field all the time. But I don't know. How do you feel about that?
I you're exactly right. There's nothing to really add on to that. I mean, ultimately, from a fan standpoint, I get it. You have your favorites that you want to see out there on the field that have a big name, or you've heard the news that you've had a great camp. But if you're not there in that locker room, you don't know exactly who's going to go out there and put out, who's going to be ready to step underneath those lights and actually make those big plays. And you adding the fact of one person might get a lot of burn this game. The next person might not. But ultimately, it's such a long football season. And of course, it's not as long as NFL ball, but it's such a long season where there's always going to be mix and matches as far as how they figure out exactly who needs to be molded in every spot, especially in the secondary. And I'm gonna speak on
You
that
right.
just as a secondary player. But you might have a combination where you have two corners that work really good together with certain safeties. One safety might be a better communicator, another one might be a better athlete, one might be a better ball hawk. So that's going to be, like musical chairs, because you're going to end up also having to, decipher between different defenses like cheetah, nickel. Cheetah would be considered like your dime, and then also base. So different people are going to play different roles, but they have to know their role and really go in on that role, because the next play is the most important play. So it's like,
Yep.
hey, we might have lost that last play. Now we got to focus in on trying to get 3, 4, 5 wins in a row. And in
Right.
reality, on defense, it's just 3. You get 3
Right.
stops
Right.
off that field. Now the offense is back out there. Offensively,
Yep.
we got to work on making sure we get to that first down line. So I believe that it will change throughout the time. I wouldn't be so gung-ho or set on, where people are on the depth chart, because it's a week in and week out basis. Somebody might have a great week of practice, and next thing you know, he's starting. So
Yep.
it's next man up. And what is our saying here at OU? We too deep. OU. You know
That's
what I
right.
mean?
Yeah,
So
exactly.
that's the mindset that we have to have.
I saw someone's, I think it was Ron's comment. Ron, no, Steven cannot beat me in the 100-meter dash. When I talk about my speed, I don't think people really understand how fast I really was when I say it. I just say I was fast, but I let other people speak on my behalf. But no, Steven cannot beat me in the 100-meter dash.
He's
So
not boasting. He's not boasting. No, man. I'm up next to D Brooks on a 100-meter dash. That
but
is
go
the
ahead.
our team we had in 2014. Bro, like y'all were a first team offense on the scout team that we had that year.
I've said before, our 2014 team, even some guys I spoke to, we felt like going in that season, we had a collective unit that was dangerous, but just for some reason, there was just disconnect. It just didn't click. Whatever it was, I don't know if it just, obviously coaches got fired after that season. They can kind of segue into this because a lot of fans here, they're already BV needs to get fired. Everybody needs to get, let go. We had, 2, 6, and 7 seasons, which all that is understandable. And I've said before, if BV can't get it, then he needs to be let go. But my thing is, and, this isn't, trying to make excuses for it. I believe that, all coaches, their path is different.
Yeah.
Obviously, we wanted to continue to, be positive, but it hasn't been that. And I don't know how long BB is going to be here. I don't know how long this coaching staff is going to be there. I hope it's long, because that allows the ability to, grow that camaraderie within the coaches and the team, and keep a that unit together. Because I feel like once you break that up, I'm not saying you can't be successful at the beginning, but once you break that up, you don't know if that next crop of coaches and individuals are going to be successful. But I'm sure you've heard it, but what do you think about, just the coaching staff? Do you think we have the right collection of coaches that can lead us? It's been since 2000.
Mm-hmm.
You think we have? It's still it's to be determined. I'm hoping, but
I'm biased.
hell, I don't know.
I'm biased. This is why I actually just seen an interview. I think it was 2 days ago. Might have been yesterday, but it was a question about, BV, taking care of the program, and, what did he see when he first got here versus some of the changes that needed to happen just within the team aspect of things. And he had talked about or spoke on that, you had guys that were not going to class, failing drug tests,
Yeah.
not bought in. You go on down the line, and, you see what he had started with. And I don't believe that we started with the team that was ready to go out there and perform, at a high level that we're used to. So for him to start with, that group, not saying that they were sorry players or they were bad, nothing like that. But it's a different mentality once you go out there and you know that you were a winning team versus you going out there hoping to be a winning team. And
Right.
so I believe just over the course of time, you've seen the defense step up. you've seen offensively, we've had some struggles, but seems like this year, that hype is back up for the offense to be, the guys again that OU is used to, because we're used
Right.
to having a great quarterback with a great run game and having some great wide receivers as outstanding cast. And then, of course, you already got Beatonbow that, in my opinion, is arguably one of the best offensive line coaches in the nation, because I've seen that guy really perform miracles on some folks that got into the building.
That's what I've been saying.
Yeah, so I really believe, in my opinion, we have the great coaching staff, the greatest coaching staff that we would need in order to go out there and perform and be a top SEC threat. That's my take on it. Now, I know some of the fans, they want that instant gratification. Oh, we should be this each and every year. Man, half these people have never strapped up the pads. Half of these people have never been on a team. And I'm not trying to throw shots back at the fans, but ultimately you have to be understanding. You have to be willing to know sometimes you're going to have to take a step back in order to move forward. And yes, we took a step back, but I believe that we are still going up, as time goes on. So give BV a chance. That's all I'm getting at. Give him a chance.
Yeah. And Chester, I saw your comment. I don't know what happened to Diamond. I haven't probably seen Matt in 10 years. I have no idea what happened to him. At the moment, 7-5 was 8-4, and then I remembered O-line is still a huge question mark and not sold on the weapons. Clark, who's Clark? We'll get back to that. But no, yeah, that's what I'm saying. I've said that I believe we have the right coach. Now, there's some position groups in there that are questionable. Joe John, were you there when he was a GA? Joe John Finley? I think he might have left right before you got there.
Yeah,
so he was there when I was. We got the, like I said, we go through the position groups. I think the strongest D line. I think the secondary, safety and corner is pretty strong. Young, youthful. Linebacker, I think we have strong talent, but it's a little thin. O-line, I do think is the biggest question, because we have guys that were here last year that were thrown to the fire a year ago, and we'll just see how they'll be. Receiving core is all new. I just think they're unproven guys. And like I've said in here, when you're in there, you don't care where guys come from. You don't care if they're 3-star. You don't care if they're FCS, and stuff like that. And I remember having a conversation here where people, a lot of people want the 5-star recruit, and if OU doesn't get it, just another 3-star recruit. I think I was a Rivals 4-star, and the other ones I was 3-star. I think Stephen Wood, you were like 4 or 5-star or something like that. So you can speak to that. And my thing with that is, and obviously you can speak to that this kind of on the star format. You got to come in and prove it. It don't matter star, 3-star, 4-star, 5-star, 2-star, no star, FCS, JUCO. It doesn't matter where you come. If you come in and you can produce, you're successful. That's what I'm saying. I think a lot of fans need to understand that on the outside, I think it's people want these ideas on what they think a recruitment process and what a player should look like, but they don't understand once you get in with the team unit, that structure is different. It's a whole lot different when you get into that team unit. So I don't know how you feel about that, but that's just how I feel.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. Honestly, the stars don't matter. Stars don't matter, man.
That's what I've said.
Yeah, I've seen guys that are 5-stars that didn't play a lick at Oklahoma or at a top university throughout their whole, tenure of them being there. And I've seen 1-stars and 2-stars outperform the 4-stars and 5-stars or even the 3-stars. So none of that stuff matters. It's all about the work ethic. It's about how you mold within, the group that you're with. Are you an energy giver? Or are you a energy vampire? Like they look at all the intangibles the same way the league looks at people. People be like, well, he went undrafted. He's not as capable as this guy that went in the 1st or 2nd round. None of that stuff matters. I mean, you see guys that are 1st round, 2nd round that don't end up panning out. And then what do they end up being labeled as? A bust.
Yep.
So you can say the same thing, in college. There's certain people that are considered bust because, the scouts gave them a 4-star grade or a 5-star grade. But you got to look at the talent that they're playing. You got to look to see exactly does that system fit in with that player? Because systems are everything, especially with players that have a certain knack. And last but not least, does that person mold well with his teammates? Because I know defensively, there's no secret. So if you can't go out there and communicate, you can go be the best athlete in the world. If you can't communicate, you don't know what you're doing, you're not going to be out there on the field. Point blank, period. And then same thing offensively. If you don't know your alignments, if you don't know your assignment, you're not playing. I don't care how good you are. So I think that we have to get that in perspective as well. It is unproven right now in the wide receiver room. We understand that because a lot of the big names or bigger names that were there for a while, they ended up leaving, and we're having a whole new batch. This is that time for them to show everybody, hey, we somebody to be reckoned with. So let the play speak. You don't let the pass players speak. Don't let the coaches speak. Let them speak.
And then some of the comments about the stars. See, this is my thing that I try to keep on reiterating when it comes to the stars. I'm not saying that 5 stars, 4 and 5 stars don't help you succeed. Yes, coaches are going to want to get them. You as a player, you want to be a 5-star. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is it doesn't matter in the sense of how you come into that team, how you are developed, and how you can contribute. There's been UT, we've said it a million times. They've always got recruited OU. Since I've got there, they've got hundreds of 5 stars. We're not successful. A&M, I mean, I could keep on going universities. It's how you develop them. That's what I'm saying. Yes, I saw 918's comment about, the last couple of national championships had a lot of 5 stars. I've understood that. I mean, obviously there's outliers. You have the Clemsons of the world that had not as many 5 stars as Bama and Georgia and Michigan, things like that. But I'm saying the weight at which fans put on it when you're recruiting, it's not, it holds too much. And just me speaking from a player who was a 3-star, frankly, I find it disrespectful for me and other 3-stars who were 3-stars, where people think that, oh, I'm just a 3-star. And I busted my ass to get to the University of Oklahoma, to get looked at by UT and I didn't go to camps and different things like that, but I'm just not a 3-star. Like, that's not what I am. And, Strike was a 3-star. I mean, there's a few what Tap didn't start playing football to his junior year of high school. Yeah. And I think he might have been a 4-star, but he didn't start playing to that year. I mean, I keep on going about, players like that, but that's my gripe with the star system and how much weight and I think social media and all that stuff has elevated. I just didn't think it was that important when I was getting recruited. Star ranking didn't even come into my mind when I was going through the process. Like, it had no weight on me. I don't know how you felt. Steven, you came in. First thing I saw Steven came on the field. He came in early. Came in spring of 2014, got to play. I didn't go up to Steven, hey, bro, what star were you? Man, I don't know. You 3-star. I don't give a dang. Can you come out here and play? And you proved you could. That's what matters, So, so that's just how I feel about it. But, and then also somebody's comment on the run back room. So, and this is a little, I don't know, it's a little difficult. So the running back room, Steven, I don't know if you saw the depth chart. Jaden Knott, who came in from Cal, he was listed as a string.
Yeah,
and different things like that. So when I was there, we didn't have the luxury of Samaje or Joe, not being available a duration of camp. So I don't know if, say, like 2015, when I was 3rd string, I don't know if Samaje or Joe had been out for a long time. Had I bumped up to the 2nd spot, and then they got healthy, and then they bumped back up in front of me. The first few games, it was kind of a 3-man rotation, me, Samaje, and Joe, and then they kind of, had took the mantle on that. But in me, all honesty, with Jaden not, him coming in new system, everything like that, I don't think it's an issue to start Javonte or Troy Blaylock the first game against Illinois State to see where it is that they lie. I remember that 2014 season, Samaje's first year. Keith was the starter. Samaje got in a little bit, and I think A-Ross was in there a little bit. And I think I was fortunate because I just had moved back over there from corner. But, so there's stuff like that. James Emmer. And on this podcast, too, people call in. So I don't know if you people want to call in and ask us some questions or something like that. I mean, Tell us where sunshine pumping. And like I said before, people see me in the comments. The biggest sunshine pumpers, the biggest glazer, what is it? As they say, glazers are former players. You're not going to meet bigger sunshine pumpers of their former team of the Brotherhood than us. So you're just going to have to deal with it.
That's real. Real. And also something to add on to it. I mean, you would say the running back room, especially at the University of Oklahoma, is like a rolling revolving door, because it's really about who has the hot hand. It's just like, you going out there and hooping. If somebody is getting buckets, you're going to keep on spinning the rock to that man because he's getting 5 a pop, 6 a pop. Oh, next thing you know, it's a touchdown. So ultimately, I believe that it's going to keep changing over time, especially in the SEC. You're going to need everybody that you got because it's tough. It's physical, man. I remember every time we played a SEC opponent, we were sore for 3-4 days afterwards. So everybody don't have to be ready, have your head on a swivel, like make sure them cleats is tied up. Your number gonna get called one way or another.
Exactly. So let me see. So we got selfish. I want to ask Steven about the Rose Bowl. TD, was that your favorite play at OU? Yeah, Steven, what was your favorite play at OU from you personally?
Man, that's definitely one of my favorite plays. I'll probably say my favorite though of all time was probably the TCU play because that was the play to actually get us to get that last spot for the playoffs.
I mentioned that before. Yeah.
And I mean, I love.
Hey, he was open.
I know.
if you did not knock that down, that was about to be a conversion because he was open in that corner. I don't know how you timed that. I actually watched the highlights of that like 2 or 3 weeks ago. I was watching, and Mackenzie was sitting next to him. I was like, I do not know how Steven was able to time that perfectly like that because if he catches that, bruh, 2015 will be a lot different.
Hey, repetitions are key, man. I feel like I've been making that play my whole life before I even got to university. Truly. Because I was a hooper. Like, I love basketball just as much as I love football.
Right,
I wanted to go NBA or NFL. That was always my dream. I didn't care which one it was, right? So I got highly recruited in football, but in basketball, I was the key ball handler. So you give me the ball, I'm breaking all the traps. I'm making sure I'm making the right reads. I can go create my own shot. I had those capabilities. But defensively, anytime we ran a trap, I've been doing that since second, third grade, where we're running traps. And of course, the kids, they go dribble right into the corner and they try to throw the ball up over your head. Yeah. What do? You time your jump and you go get it. That's what that play resembled. Because I knew that I shouldn't have left my man. That was man-to-man coverage. And Jordan,
you did. You came off. You did.
I came off. That was a red flag. And so I remember Jordan was there, but ultimately from my angle, it's like, oh man, I feel like I'm gonna have to make a decision. Like either I stay and this quarterback has the opportunity to reach out
for run in. Yeah, it was. It's crazy. I mean? It's a game of inches. It's crazy, man. Yeah.
And so in my head, I just made a decision and ran with it. And I said, he's gonna have there is no bounce passes, right? So he's gonna have to get that ball up. Good luck. And so I jumped up and got it, and rest was history. So that was definitely my favorite play. The next one I would say would probably be the Rose Bowl. Although we lost that game, that's probably still one of my favorite games that I've ever been a part of. No one can ever argue that it wasn't a classic. Because either team could have won that game. The energy was just insane.
We should have won that game, bro.
We should have. We should have. Every time I go back and look at it, I'm like, man, there's no reason why we shouldn't win this game.
Yeah.
And that's something that we have the memory of, losing. But ultimately, man, we were right there. We were considered potatoes. Like we were going to get our hats brought to us and blew out the stadium. We showed everybody that we were those guys to reckon with.
Yeah.
So I really think that was a great game.
Are you a fan of Barnes? So this is my thing with some of the running backs. So what I've noticed about the running backs in the last couple of years, just speaking in terms of the running backs, I don't. So it is. So I have noticed that a lot of the running backs I've seen within these last 2 or 3 years, there is an inability to make the first guy miss. There's an inability to make that spectacular play when it needs to be made. And I don't know if that's just simply from preparation in terms of practice. like when it comes to Barnes and different things like that, I do believe Barnes has the ability. I just don't believe that since that freshman year game, the bowl game he had, and I'm speaking to the comment, I don't think he's had a chance to build up a rhythm. Running back, like I've said before, it is a position of rhythm and flow. Like if you don't have that, it the hot hand and you don't feel it, you're gonna go and you're gonna the tackle that broken tackle that you would normally break, you're not gonna break it. That move that you would normally make, you're not gonna make it. The example being Samaje, the 2014 West Virginia game. Throughout the game, Gundy was Samaje, Keith, Alex, Keith, Samaje. I can remember that in my head. And Samaje had started getting a rhythm. He started about 20 yards, 15 yards, 25 yards, 10 yards, 15, and he kept them in. And Samaje just got a rhythm going. He was making people miss. He was hitting the right hole. He was getting long runs. He was scoring touchdowns. So that's what I haven't seen from the backfield. And I don't know if that's DeMarco or is that just the offensive scheme as a whole. We'll see this first game, um, but yeah. So and then back, obviously, someone's asking you, Steven, about the. So yeah, Steven played in the Rosewood game. I had graduated, so there's that caveat. But people always ask, I don't know how it was in that locker room. I've been told stories about Meach and some of them, but did did Lincoln did he lay off the gas? Like, was there something that you sensed on the offensive side that kind of changed the trajectory? What was it in that game? Because I saw somebody ask about crazy stories and stuff like that. We could talk about game stories because if there's stories me and Steven can't talk about it here that are probably rated R, so we won't go there. You're on mute, Steven. You're on mute. You can't hear me. Can you hear me? Yeah, there you go. Talk. We got a mess up. Hold on. And no, 918, I don't think he's more talented. I do agree with that. I just think he was available, and that's why he's RB1. Steven, no, I still can't hear you. I'll give you a sec. Is it on our end? Well, that's what happens when on the first podcast. You're going to run into stuff like that. Hold on, let me see. No, still can't hear you.
All right. Can you hear me
There
now?
you go. You're back. Yeah.
I don't know what happened, but hey, it happens though. I think it was answering the locker room, and just the
Yeah.
flow.
Yeah. Yeah.
So honestly, I felt like we were still like ramped up. Feel like we were still ready to go in that second half. I think that we lost a lot of energy on that field goal at the end of the first half. Whenever we ended up
Yeah.
squibbing that ball and they ended up recovering it,
That's what I said. Yep.
that killed our momentum. Like you cannot lose momentum, especially going into halftime. We had all the momentum swinging our way. I believe if that never
I was
happened,
told different about that. I was told different stories. I was told that Coach Riley decided to do that squib, and I've also heard Bullware decided to do those squib. And yeah, Jay and Jeremy, y'all can open the phone lines if y'all want for this. But yes, Steven, whose decision was it by that? Like who from what you remember?
from what I remember, I think Boulware brought it up, but Lincoln always has the last say. So I think Lincoln was the one that confirmed it. But that ball wasn't supposed to hit that guy. It was supposed to go into the second level. And I remember Boulware like specifically saying it's going to go to the second level. It didn't.
Oh,
Yeah, so
okay.
that
That's the
wasn't
first time I've
purposeful.
heard that.
Yeah, I don't think it was purposeful to like kick it to that first level and let them recover. We weren't even trying to get the ball back. We were just trying to make sure that they could kneel it. We can go to half and come on the second half. And luckily they got the ball, they recovered it right there, they kicked the field goal, and next thing you know, we lose by, what was it, 3 or 4 or a touchdown,
Yeah,
whatever it
the
was.
overtime. Yeah, who scored that winning? Was it
I
who
think it
scored that
was
winning touchdown?
Sonny.
Was it Sony Michelle?
I couldn't remember if it was Michelle or Chubb, to be honest. It might have been Chubb, to be honest.
Yeah.
But I remember
Oh
that
man, yeah.
last play because I ended up
Mhm.
getting sealed inside, and I felt like I got held, and they didn't throw the flag. So ultimately, yeah, man, we lost that game. Shouldn't have been no excuses.
I think y'all would have beat Bama. I think we would have beat Bama. I really do. I firmly believe. We, yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Oh, we
right.
got someone. Someone's calling in. All right. Oh, Chester. All right.
All right, we're here.
Doomer Sooner here.
Here we go.
And I got a bone to pick with you already, Mr. Parker.
Yes, sir.
You just said it yourself. When you're the running back coach, you played a hot hand.
Yeah.
This is why us Doomers, that's what we're known as, want DeMarco Murray gone. Because last year, the running back room was terrible all season until they stuck X-Rob in there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And he had the hot hand. So then when we go play Navy, we put Sawchuck in there, and X-Rob, had 3 carries, 3 touches that game?
Yeah. Yeah.
So this is why us Doomers have issue with DeMarco Murray, especially me. And by the way, I would like everybody to know that DeMarco Murray is my 4th favorite player of all time. So it's not a personal thing.
Yeah, and I don't look at it like a personal thing. Everybody has their bias, their opinion. That could be one of your favorite players at OU, but it's different whenever you're on the other side coaching. Like some players might be coaches, and there's some coaches that have never been players. So I understand your logic on that. Yeah, the hot hand, I believe, is really the thing that I always go off of and a lot of coaches go off of. But ultimately, we don't know what happens behind the scenes. We don't know what happens on a day-to-day practice. Somebody could have been late for the bus, and they're like, hey, we got to penalize you for this. We can't let this slide. I'm not saying that's what it is, but ultimately, we look at it from the final picture or the big picture of us just being out there and seeing who's getting put out there on the field, but we don't know what the practice habits are like or what's going on, throughout the whole week, because we're judged throughout that whole week before we even step in between those lines.
We know there's stuff that goes on behind the doors. We know, but still, that game determined if you're going to be above or sub 500.
Yeah. I actually kind of agree, Chess, what you're saying. I've said it before. X-Rob kind of solidified itself. So to me, it like I said, I don't know what happened on this, but it didn't really make sense for them the next week for everybody to be like, wait a minute, why is X-Rob not in? He had this game, he came. It doesn't. I don't have an argument for that. I really don't. Like I said, I don't know what going on behind the scenes. We're just looking at it from the outside in, not being in the locker room. That's what I would have done. That's what was done when I was there. Like I said, after Samaje kind of really came on board and solidified himself, he started to get more burn. So, other running backs took a step back and vice versa. So, and isn't that, I mean, I don't even know if I would just say that's just strictly just to running backs. I think that's to all the positions. With a corner, if you're locking down and you're getting in a rhythm, but just specifically with running back, I don't know. I agree with that. I don't know what DeMarco's methodology is when it comes to rotation. I really don't.
That last 2 things, because I got to head out and drive to work. First of all, thank you all for doing this. Yeah. I'm going to tell you, Parker DB knows, but the fans on this channel are true Sooner fans. They're not going to give you sunshine. Some of them will, but these are real fans. And secondly, everybody's talking about the Georgia Rose Bowl. The 3 plays to me that cost us the game, obviously the stupid squib kick when you got Seibert that boots it 50 yards out of the back of the end zone every kick. Yep. I'll never understand that. And then I think it was the stupid Jordan Smallwood end around play that everybody and their mama knew was coming. I knew it. As soon as I saw Smallwood out there, I said, oh, no. They're going to run that stupid end around again. And then I forget if I think it was after your should have been game-sealing touchdown, Parker. I want to say it was after that, but I might be getting my downs wrong. We had a horrible 13, 15-yard punt that really flipped the field. And that's what I think are the three things that cost us that game, personally.
Yeah.
So you would say 2 out of 3 of them were special teams, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And the people sleep on special teams. Special teams, they have to come ready to play too. You can be well balanced on offense and defense, but if your special teams is trash, you're going to pay for it every time.
I also think they should have ran the ball a little more than just doing. I don't know. My problem with Lincoln was even when things are going good, he'd do some dumb, cute thing and it would just kill momentum. Hey, thank you all. Boomer Sooner for life.
Hey, Boomer Sooner. Appreciate you for coming on.
Someone said, what was that comment before that? Do OCs typically say I want this player to position when calling certain play? So yeah, so when Lincoln first he had a specific package for me. It was just called simply Brooks. It just was a running play to the outside. It never really executed well, but the OC can say if we're like on the field, they can say same thing. Steven knows on the defense side too as well. They can say, hey, I want Steven to come in for this play. If Steven wasn't in a certain player, I want this player to come in because of what I'm calling. So OCs do that, even for running backs. If they want a certain running back in because of play they need to execute, that maybe they need speed or something like that, they will do that. Now, if you have a running back that just is a jack of all trades, that's how you got to go by. But an OC definitely does call that. So yeah. Is anybody any other questions or anything? Let me see what we got here.
I seen somebody say that players have to carry themselves off the field like they do on the field, or on the field like they do off the field. Yes, you were exactly right with that. As a player that has gotten in trouble off the field, of course, I was forgiven and still being able to play on the team. Yeah, you were so right about that. What transpires off the field definitely ends up bleeding into the field. So that's why it's so important for every player to take accountability for themselves, but also for their teammates, because we all we have. So if I know that my buddy over here that plays corner with me is going out doing stuff that he shouldn't be doing, I have to be a leader and tell him not to do those things. Now, it's easier said than done because we are all grown men and no grown man wants to be told what to do. But ultimately, we do have to make sure that we hold that responsibility for each other. So therefore, we can all make it out there on game day. So I do agree with that.
And kind of a segue to that, because I don't know, on here, a lot of fans, they don't like BV to talk about GPAs, and they always, I hear a lot of them say, I don't know if you heard the soul mission. A lot of fans don't like that's elevated. This is the one thing I can say about that, and I won't talk about it too much because I know it can stir up some people. But my perspective on the soul mission is, and Steven can relate to this too, you really don't start thinking about these things when you get older. Like, I should have, done better in this class and majored in this and done these things in my life. There's things you think about. And when a player graduates, it's a very dark period, because it's like, what's next in life? All I've known was football. And why I say the soul mission, it's a good thing, but it has no precedent on what the on-field product is going to be. But it does help the young men decide what it is they want to do and different things like that. Is that so young men, when they graduate, specifically at OU, they don't end up like Chris Brown. They don't end up like Courtney Garnett, who's in prison right now for attempted what. So that's what I think people are, a lot of fans just see it as just a thing, but they don't understand the reason behind it, is because we have a lot of friends that their families, things they go through, and when they graduate, all they know is football, and they don't know what that next move is, and they get themselves into situations like that. So I think people need to start understanding that is why I, as a former player, don't have an issue with the soul mission. It doesn't need to be a forefront on this is us and soul mission. So no, but for it to be talked about, I think is a good thing. I don't care if Alabama or Georgia, LSU or UT or somebody like that does. This is OU. I don't care what other universities do. If we're doing something here for our players to help them, that's a positive. Like, there is no negative in that. So, and I don't want to, see players I've played with or even after me, and I'm like, and I see them on the news, I'm like, man, I cannot believe that happened to that young man. I can't believe that happened to blank. That's why it's important to me. So, that's just my perspective. I don't know how you feel about it, Steven, but that's just what I feel about it.
Man, you're exactly right about that. Ultimately, like, look, we are out here playing a kid's game, ultimately, and we're getting a chance to play it at a higher level than some individuals, that didn't have the opportunity to do it. But I'm solely focused on the mental health of that human being. I'm focused on him after football, but also off the field, because that's something that we do and it's fun for us, and it comes easy or natural to us. But that doesn't define who we are. And
Right.
it's what we do, but it's not who we are. Like, that stuff is an additive to what we are truly are, like, outside of the field and within our faith. Like, if we don't even believe in a higher power, like, what are we doing? So we
Right.
need to start checking the agenda of what's more important, what's most important, what's second most important. Is it family, faith, football, or is it faith, family, football? You know what I mean? So I believe that everything connects. And once we start putting together the puzzle pieces, it will start aligning for things to actually happen and flow, the right way. So I completely agree with what you said. I think that the soul mission, it's a priority. I think it is
Yeah.
needed 100%.
Yeah. So we're wrapping up because Jay and German, they're going to hop on their Sooner Surge at 9:30. So if anybody else want to call and ask any questions, they can. I see Crystal's comment there about listing lower players or listing lower on the depth chart as extra motivation. I commented on this the other night. I've never have you ever seen anybody like, we're going to list this player lower in the depth chart to motivate them or anything like that? Like, let me think of like some former players that we played with that I'm trying to think, was there anybody that was listed lower and they were listed lower so that they could be motivated to elevate their play? I
Maybe
don't think that was ever done. Maybe. I don't remember it ever being
I'll say
done,
the
but
only two
I'm
that
not saying it hasn't been.
I'll say Obo and Caleb. Like, Caleb Kelly was a 5-star, and I think that they were still developing him, and he was still getting the knack for it. Like, because he wasn't a starter yet, so he had to earn that spot. But then he got injured. Obo was there
I've said this a million times. People are like, "Oh, you're talking about Oates." I'm like, "Yo, Obo, it took him time to get where he needs." Some players, it's like that. They don't have it at the beginning, and then Obo, when he had it, he had it.
Mm-hmm. And so he was on the bench, 2 or 3 years, and he came in on certain packages. When I first got up there, he actually came in on the same package I did, which was Cheetah, and it would be me.
Yeah, that's right. It was Cheetah.
So we would run out there like, yeah, it's time to go. But it takes time, But nowadays, you don't really have time with these players. These players, if they're not happy or their parents aren't happy, they're gone. So there's no camaraderie there. So I understand, the premise of like transferring and stuff like that. But sometimes I just feel like, look, you actually were meant to be there, but you're not allowing patience to actually happen so you can go get that spot. You might be behind a senior where as soon as he leaves, you're taking the reins, and the defensive scheme or the offensive scheme, it's going to put you in a whole better situation than somebody coming in from a whole different university or coming in from high school or JUCO. So I don't know. Sometimes I feel like players play themselves out of positions nowadays versus back in the day where you had to stay at the university for 4 years.
Exactly.
So,
Steven, someone asked you about the Jerry Jones trade, Micah. Since you played for the Cowboys, what's your take on that?
I mean,
bro, did you ever get to talk to Jerry? I can't stand that. That's why I would when I would watch the Cowboys. I watch the Cowboys for you, Neville. When Tap played for him,
and CD.
And that's in CD.
Yeah.
That's and when DeMarco did, because they were Sooners.
Yeah.
But other than that, I can't invest my time. I will watch it, but let me see what Neville gonna do. But I don't know. You don't have to speak ill will of Jerry. I don't know how you feel about the trade, but I don't know. What's your thought on that?
I'll tell you the real. I think the trade was very stupid for the Cowboys, but ultimately Micah didn't want to be there anymore, and I understand that as a player. Being in there in that Cowboys locker room, everybody looks at the Cowboys as America's team, and that's the team that you want to be on whenever you get to the pros and things of that nature. But I've honestly heard more ill words, coming from the Cowboys and go to another team versus people who are like, man, I loved it there. It was the best place ever. Now, I'm very grateful that I played for the Dallas Cowboys. I mean, you just played for one of the biggest marketed teams in the universe. Number one star. Everybody notices that. But it comes with a lot of different things, that might be negative attached to it. So to answer your question, I think the trade was stupid. I don't believe Micah should have been traded, but I'm glad that he got his money, and I'm glad that he's going to be a happier individual outside of the Cowboys versus him being miserable with the Cowboys. But hey, man, Jerry's going to do what he's going to do. He's the GM. He's the owner. He sells tickets. He does everything you need him to do. So
we know.
That's about my
Hunter, can you go back to that NIL question I saw just a second ago, please, for me? Do you think NIL chasing players and multiple transfer players will end up without a home university to go to? I would agree with that. Yeah. Because like me and Steven, we were at OU. Me, I was redshirt, so my 4 or 5 years. Steven was there for his time, and I wouldn't trade it for the world. And people oftentimes ask us, what do we miss the most? And this is kind of what we can wrap up on. People ask me what I miss the most, whether it be fans or friends or anything like that. And I'm like, people always think it's like football stuff, but it's like in the locker room, sitting in the lockers, eating snacks. It's sitting out. It's walking to the parking lot. It's sitting in the caf, and it's the little things that people don't see that I miss most. I miss playing the game and stuff like that, but it's just those little moments. Like it's like in practice. It's not the practice, but it's like I see Steven on the sideline and we joking or clowning about something, and then we go and we go to 7-on-7. It's little things like that people don't realize that really make up the team that really brings you together. It is going through the trenches, but it's those little small moments that I believe is what I miss most. I don't know about you. How do you feel about that?
I can agree. And Teresa, I believe is how it's said, but yeah, you're exactly right. It's the brotherhood. It's the locker room. Mm-hmm. It's not literally me going out there making a play or seeing my brother. Well, I'm more fulfilled that my brother made a play than I made a play, because it lets me know he's on a mission. Right. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, it's everything you just said. It's the fellowshipping, with each other. It's the pregame meals. It's getting amped up for practice or getting amped up before the game. Like, I'll never forget every time that we were there in that hotel. And we would have the defensive meeting, and we would all be dancing, and we'd be kicking it like
when we got stuck before the K-State game at the airport. Man, bro, it's stuff like that that's just you can't get it back, bro. You just can't.
At all.
It's stuff like that just, man, you wish you could do it all over again. So yeah, we got what, like I say, about a minute or two. Anybody have any questions before we hop off here on, like I said, let's get active. Like I said, so this is a pilot introduction. Like I said, format is going to change, different things going to change, topics are going to change, so on and so forth. Steven, I don't, and for fans who like Steven, me and Steven still talk all the time. So this definitely won't be the last time you see them. He may become a permanent, he may become a we don't know. So. Any Smitty stories? Smitty gets a lot, and I know we're running, but Smitty gets a lot of bad, negative, and I try to tell y'all, Smitty has his ways, but he gets you ready, because a lot of fans think that a lot of the injuries are because of him. And I've said, I'm not saying that I've never been injured because of Smitty. I'm saying Smitty is not the cause of the injuries. I've definitely gone through, summer work, and I'm like, dang, I'm injured. I probably shouldn't have squatted that day or something like that. So, I don't know, Steven, were you injured much? I don't remember you being injured too much.
No, not really. I mean, I would have some soft tissue injuries here and there, but for the most part, I was pretty healthy. The big injury I had was the shoulder. Whenever I ended up separating it versus Houston, and I decided to play with it like kind of an idiot, but that's just me being, me.
And that's
but
what I
that was
try to
the
tell
biggest thing.
fans. Sometimes it's our dumb decision. So,
Yeah. But as far as with Smitty, man, I love Smitty. I'll never talk bad on Smitty. I think Smitty does a great job of getting everybody ready to play. He works on our mental, our mind, because if our mind is ready to quit, then the rest of our body's going to quit. But if we can have a strong mental, man, you can get through anything, and that dude will run through a brick wall for you. So I'll always have love for Smitty. Anytime I get on the university, I'll give him a big old hug, tell him I love him, and like, hey, make sure to get these boys right, because I know what he's going to do. Smitty tough, built.
And the last thing I'll say is like crazy Smitty stories, So two things about Smitty, and wrap it up here is don't be late to workouts. Don't show weakness. And then I think the craziest thing I've ever heard Smitty say is I forgot who it was, but they went to a funeral and they were gone for 2 days. And Smitty told him, he was like, how Smitty is. Come on, big dog, what you missed the workout for? She's already dead. I was like, what you say, Smitty? What?
That sounds
like going there?
Yeah.
So that's the craziest thing I've ever heard him say. But yeah, appreciate everybody, coming in. Steven, you can tell everybody, thank you, everything like that. And, we'll get this thing running when we do, but appreciate everybody asking the questions.
For sure. Like I said, I appreciate you all for having me on again. I look forward to speaking on this podcast, Sooner Surge. And man, I would just say just one thing, man, have high hopes, keep believing, and let's just see how the season plays out, man. Have some fun while it's going on. We have football for what, 4 months in a row, 3-4 months in a row. We've been missing it, so take full advantage.
That's right. Book in.